Now on Radio 5 we celebrate 25 years of Thunderbirds. Our story starts near a remote island, somewhere in the Pacific Ocean.
Land sighted, lady. I think it's the island.
Can you see anyone on shore, Parker?
Only a big geezer with grey hair.
Parker, how many times must I tell you about that awful slang? That's Mr. Tracy.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thunderbirds are go.
Hooray!
I can see, London, nothing can save us short of a miracle.
That's just what you might get.
Okay, boys, that's the brief. As you know, your uniforms are in your craft and must only be worn on call.
Right, Father.
Okay, Father.
Sure thing, Dad.
Yeah, Father.
Okay, Scott, away you go. And keep in touch.
Yes, sir.
As I thought, international rescue are arriving on the scene.
Stand by, Virgil.
Okay, Scott, standing by. They made it. They made it. Jolly good show, old boy.
And what a show.
When I first met Gerry Anderson, it was totally nerve-wracking. I really needed to start breathing again in order to stay standing. He strikes me as being very quiet and reserved and totally dumbfounded by what the heck we're all so fired up about his series.
I thought, how can I get out of this awful business of making puppet films? I know what I'll do is I'll make them so superbly that people will say if I can make real pictures. Well, the better I made them, the more I was asked to make. And so a resentment did build up. And I couldn't wait to get onto live action. But when I got onto live action, I found that there, in fact, were a number of problems I hadn't anticipated. Actors were great in as much as they could speak, move, sit down, pick up telephones, walk through doorways, no trouble at all. But then they wouldn't always do what they were told. You know, I started to get what is my motivation for this scene and who am I and why am I behaving like this? And then suddenly I found that the puppet film became more attractive.
He's quite a character.
Yes, I don't know what I'd do without him.
Right. Now, take a look around, Penny. I want you to feel at home here. After all, you're now part of the organization.
Anderson is the Gerry Anderson Appreciation Society. We collect all the memorabilia between us. There's about 800 members at the present moment, and that covers the world. And we've got a huge following in Japan. Gerry Anderson goes down real big in Japan.
Our average age range is teens to early 30s, but our youngest member is 2, and the oldest member we know of is well into his 60s. And that isn't Gerry, I hasten to add.
They meet up either at conventions or at comic marts where they can get together and talk about their favourite things. series, books, comics, how they make the puppets, how they make those fantastic explosions and goodness knows what else, and just generally enjoy the world of Gerry Anderson.
Now, how would it be if I filled you in on the more important details of the organization?
That would be excellent.
Fine. First, I'll start with Thunderbird 5.
Ah, yes, the space station.
That's right. John and Helen take alternate monthly spells of duty up there. Above the Earth and with the computer equipment in Thunderbird 5, we can monitor every radio call from anywhere on the globe.
Oh, wonderful. So you're able to learn about a mishap almost as soon as it happens.
Yes, and if necessary, send our rescue craft into operation.
International Rescue from Thunderbird 5. What's new, Father?
Thunderbirds International Rescue is a completely peaceful civilian organization. A millionaire ex-astronaut, Jeff Tracy, decided after the death of his wife to devote his life to setting up an organization to save anyone in danger anywhere in the world when called upon. Luckily, all his 5 sons decided that they wanted to go into the family business, all named after US astronauts, of course, aided and abetted by Brains, a brilliant young engineer whose real name is Hiram J. Hackenbacker, whom Jeff got to design all the Thunderbird craft. Kirano, who was Jeff's Batman during one of the Asian wars in which he was involved when he was in the military, and Tintin, Kirano's daughter, who is also a brilliant engineer and assists Brains in the servicing of the craft. Tracy Island's final inhabitant is Grandma, Jeff's mother, who features quite prominently in several of the plots as partly as comic relief, but also as giving the show a bit more human weight.
I just can't get Brains and Alan to eat anything today. They say they haven't got time.
Well, Mother, they've just got to get the combination of this code cracked.
Well, it seems to me... Oh.
Go ahead, Penny.
Jeff, urgent news. We've traced the men who've been sabotaging the transporter planes.
Okay, Penny. We gotta work fast.
One of the things I've tried to do very hard is to make sure, as far as possible, that I have not contributed to World War III. And as much as the programs mainly concern destruction of buildings rather than people, shooting at robots rather than people, and hopefully directing children's natural love of destruction. I mean, it's just a fact of life, they love destruction, but hopefully directing it into an area which is fairly harmless. So that's one thing I've been very conscious of, and I try very hard not to abuse my position, as it were.
Attack stations. Traeger interceptor missiles. Stand by. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Fire! Thunderbird 1 and base from Thunderbird 2. Under missile attack.
Virgil, switch on the jammer.
I think it's too late, Scott.
Are you okay, Virgil? Come in, Thunderbird 2.
Still here, Scott. Boy, that was close. They exploded right beneath me. Feels like I've got some damage on my tail unit.
It's just another 10 minutes. Now, you'll make it, Virgil. I know you will. FAB.
Everybody asks us about FAB, and people are always quite incredulous when you tell them it doesn't stand for anything at all. They think it must be an acronym, but in fact it's just a snappy way of saying fab or fabulous, which was very much a 60s buzzword, which means, okay, everything fine, we're going ahead, as in, Penny, is everything okay, FAB, Jeff, that sort of thing.
International Rescue, Lady Penelope speaking.
Hi there, Penny. Jeff here. We've got a hot one for you. A foreign agent has managed to steal the small but very vital neutronic stabilizer unit out of Thunderbird 2. From information just received from the FBI through your Scotland Yard, he's proceeding down your motorway M4 after landing at London Airport. Can you take care of it?
Yes, Jeff. FAB.
You rang, milady?
Cancel the Countryside 1, Parker. We've just been called to an urgent assignment. Get out the Rolls-Royce.
It's all ready and waiting at the door, milady.
Fab 1 is Lady Penelope's pink Rolls-Royce. The design had to actually be approved by Rolls-Royce because they won't allow you to use the Rolls-Royce name very properly unless they've approved the product. And Fab 1 has several features that no other Rolls-Royce has ever had. It has 6 wheels and a specially extended body base. It has a central driver's position rather than 2 seats in the front. And it has a clear glass canopy overall rather than a conventional solid roof, largely to give the chauffeur Parker and Lady Penelope a better all-round view when chasing villains, because of course Fab 1 is a great asset in chasing villains. It has, for example, a front-mounted cannon which emerges in a little slender shape from the grille of the Rolls-Royce below the Silver Lady and blows half the road in front of it apart. It has some absolutely splendid back-mounted devices. One fires missiles, and although I don't think it was ever used, I believe they actually put in a smoke screen as well. So it's an all-round armoury. I mean, James Bond would have been quite at home in Fab 1, apart from the fact that it is decorated in a shade that was called Penelope Pink, which is perhaps not quite Timothy Dalton's style.
Parker, in the Rolls-Royce he's a very different Parker. He works all the machinery when we're on some villain's track, fires a cannon at the front and blasts the spears from the back. Parker.
Lady Penelope. Lovely Penelope. The aristocratic agent of renown. When she talks, you hear the birds, but she uses such big words that at times her fancy phrases get one down.
Lady Penelope was the brains and the beauty in the series, alongside her trusty chauffeur, Parker. Over the time of the series, they ended up producing a couple of records, and eventually they got together to give us the timeless classic, Parker Well Done. I guess you could call it the Kylie and Jason of their day.
Parker, we are off on a mission again.
Oh, very good, milady. What sort of business will it be this time?
Show business, Parker.
Oh, Parker.
Yes, milady.
I think I'd like to take a little ride. And Parker.
Yes, milady.
Somewhere just around the countryside. Have you prepared the Rolls-Royce? Is it ready for a run?
Oh, yes, milady. Quite all right. Everything's been done. I've lubricated all the cannon and I've polished up the gun.
Oh, Parker. Well done.
Oh, it's a huge contributory factor. In fact, I think there are very few Anderson fans who wouldn't put the music of Barry Gray, who did all the shows, as one of the major loves about it. Barry was a wonderful classical musician. In fact, he was the person who introduced the first version of the synthesizer into this country. And when he died in his 80s, he was very, very much mourned and very much missed. Wonderful musician who created for each show an individual musical sound that, again, has stood up very well. Most of Barry Gray's music is very listenable even today. Well, of course, Stingray was one of the very few kids' shows at that time to introduce a love triangle. Troy Tempest, the hero, had as his girlfriend Atlanta, the beautiful, efficient daughter of Commander Shaw. But he also had Marina, the mysterious princess from the sea. And indeed, the closing theme of the show is a very smoochy, schmaltzy love ballad dedicated to Marina, which again you might think is quite unusual in a children's program, but which is remembered with enormous affection by grown men now who were little boys of 5 and 6 when they first heard it.
Marina, aqua marina, what a strange enchantments that start whenever you're near. Marina, Aqua Marina, why can't you whisper the words that my heart is longing to hear?
I think another one which many people remember and which you'll often find people humming along to even though they can't remember any of the words is the Captain Scarlet theme, which actually enjoyed quite a bit of pop success at the time.
Captain Scarlet, Captain Scarlet.
I can't see anything in him myself. How about you, Brains?
I'm afraid music in the modern idiom is too repetitive for my taste. But I must admit the rhythm has a certain hypnotic effect.
My favourite episode is Terror in New York City, where they crash Thunderbird 2 spectacularly at the beginning of the episode and then demolish the Empire State Building at the centre of the episode.
Hi, Virgil. Got your TV switched on?
No, sir. I've seen enough TV to last me the rest of my life.
Oh, but this is a special program. They're moving the Empire State Building.
This I must see.
As far as I remember, the Empire State Building had to be moved, and during the course of moving it, something went wrong and it collapsed. And somebody was buried in the rubble and had 12 hours before the air supply was going to run out, and international rescue obviously rushed in to sort them out.
What you are seeing is the result of this terrifying tragedy. The Empire State Building has crashed into a mountain of rubble. It is no more. Help!
That's Ned Cook's voice.
He's still alive.
One moment. It seems we have a miracle on our hands. That was Ned Cook's voice that we just heard.
Well, how could anyone be alive under all that, lad?
I don't know. But one thing's for sure. They'll never get him out.
Now, our equipment could do it, Father. We've got to get Thunderbird 2 there right away.
They were very much ahead of their time because in the days when Thunderbirds was made, we didn't have vertical takeoff Harrier jump jets. Just the configuration of Thunderbird 1 was strange. It had swing wings. There's a novelty for you. In those days, everybody looked at it and you just accepted that it was going to fly.
Aircraft approaching from the east, height 2,500 feet. Speed 7.5 thousand miles per hour.
7.5 thousand miles an hour? Have you gone crazy?
London Tower, this is International Rescue.
Request permission to land.
This I must see. International Rescue, you are clear to land. Use runway 29.
Will not require runway. Coming in vertically.
I think the only people I could really be a fan of would be the American, or indeed, if I had an opportunity, the Russian astronauts. I mean, the number of times I've wondered if I would be able to summon up the courage to sit on top of a 360-foot firework and be fired into space on the basis that if the guys on the ground have got their calculations correct, the moon would be there when I arrived.
Well, I'm truly amazed, Jeff.
I'm honored to have had the opportunity of including you in our secrets. With characters like you two around, International Rescue can't go wrong. No, sir. Thunderbirds are definitely go.
Thunderbirds Are Go featured the voices of Gerry Anderson and fan club members Helen McCarthy and Thorogood. The programme was produced by Chris Aldridge.
Oh, belady?
Home, Parker.
BBC Radio 5 on 909 and 693 AM.